Hello, everybody. It is Heather and Deb here with the Skeptic and the Mystic, and we are talking about today something that I had really, really hard time with, and still sometimes do, is how to use the law of vibration to create a life you love. So, Deb, you remember when The Secret came out and like the whole panel? Did you ever see the whole when they had the whole panel of everybody that was on there on Oprah?
No, I did not see them on Oprah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, they were all on Oprah, and I remember watching that. Oprah always played at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and so it's like every day, you'd watch Oprah when you get home from school. And I remember watching this, and I feel like it was like maybe Michael Beckwith was talking about how everything is energy and everything has a vibration to it. And I think it was probably my 20s when it came out. I remember just thinking, like, that is such a load of horseshit. Like, there's no way I'm looking around for like a piece of metal, but like there's no way that this metal like has a vibration. There's no vibration to it. Like it's metal. Right? I struggled with this so much. So much.
Interesting.
So
Do you still think you struggle with that concept?
no, no.
Oh, okay.
I
Just then.
mean, every once in a while I do. Every once in a while I do, but I think I conceptually get it a bit more now. So the whole idea, like with the law of vibration, is that if you think about atoms, like atoms are 99.99999 empty space, right? Which is made of electrons that can like be measured in quantum physics, right? And they say that the state of an electron is determined by the type of energy that it's absorbing or reacting to at the moment of measurement, right? So it's like responding to like what it's absorbing or reacting to. I said that. So your vibrational frequency of your atoms impacts your reality. And so if the vibrational frequency is dense, then you have like solid matter, like metal. Right? If the
Mhm.
if the vibrational frequency is at an expansive or high state, right, then you'll have more space. Right? And so like as humans, we're dense, and at the same time there is energy that's flowing in us, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So we all have this vibrational frequency that we can adjust and be what we would like it to be. And the reality is, like everything thing that we see, sound has a frequency. Like we can't argue. I can't. I should say, in my skepticism, I can't argue that because you take it. Like I don't know if you've seen like stories where they talk about taking a deaf person to a concert and giving them a balloon, and they can feel the frequency and the vibration right in that.
Right. Right.
Right.
I think most people can grasp that one because we're used to the concept of actually seeing, not with our own eyes, a sound wave, but seeing the depiction of a sound wave.
Right.
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 Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It took a lot for me to get to the thing of like, oh, everything has vibration and I get to choose my vibration. Because I
Yeah.
remember like being in college and my college boyfriend at the time, he's like, you choose to feel grumpy or not. And I was like, F you. No, I don't. Now I'm like, oh, I get it. Like how I eat, how I sleep, what I think about, all contributes to how I feel, which is how I feel is really is a vibration, right,
Right.
of what's going on.
Right. Right.
So the law of attraction is all about matching your specific frequency, like of what you're looking for, right? And yeah, I mean I'll just stop there. It's matching the frequency of what you're looking for. Right?
Right.
And
Which sounds so simple, but
so and not so
yeah.
much all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you're in like a lower vibration, right? Like it literally like when you're stuck in that density, you imagine like cement shoes, right? It feels harder to pull yourself out of it.
Right. Yeah. Yes. There's so many things I already am like, I talk about all these things.
Mhm.
Because this is what we talked about this a little bit even before we started recording, but there's probably some people listening to this who are not feeling their best selves in this very moment. And it feels like a big F you. How? Right? Like logically, you can get that. Okay, I get I'm not feeling high vibe. I want to also touch on why I always think good vibes only is some BS. We'll get there.
Right. Right.
Um, but or and, I know we don't usually like the but, the adjusting it, the tweaking it. I mean, we both know of some solutions. I can say what works for me, but that's often I think where people get a little hung up. Like, cool, I get it. I get this idea that I'm attracting this frequency I'm at. And yeah, of course I want to be at this frequency. How do I get up there? Right?
Well, okay, yeah. And there's something that you just said that I think is key is that there are people who are like, okay, yes, I get it because I take responsibility for my life. Okay, and there are lots of people who were like how I definitely used to be, where it's like, no, like I don't choose this. Like all these things are happening to me. Like we've talked about some of the other laws, and the hard truth that was really hard for me to understand is that all of these things that were happening outside of me were just a reflection of what was going on inside of me. Period. I was one of our friends yesterday. He was talking about this other guy. He's like, yeah, that guy, I don't really like, we really don't get along so much. And I was like, yeah, I'm like, I learned that when I don't like somebody, it's typically because they're a mirror to me of all the things I don't like about myself. And so I see them and I'm like, ugh, don't like them. But when I look at them and say, wait a minute, what are you showing me about myself that I don't like? I can have more compassion for that person and then actually end up, liking them when I can acknowledge and accept those things within me. Right.
So and some people really just aren't my people.
Right. Yeah. Some people just aren't. Right. And there's a difference when you can, instead of making it they're terrible, be like, what's the reflection, right? If everything is reflecting out of me, what's this vibrational match that I'm seeing in them?
Yeah.
And then take responsibility that way. And there can be people where you're like, I just like, we have different values, we have different morals, right?
No shade, just not going to hang out with you.
Right. And that's a difference between like having that energy towards the person. I hate that person. I don't like that person. Right.
So when it's a strong, like, then that's, I got what you're saying now.
Yeah. So when we look at the law of attraction again, which is matching the specific frequency of what you're looking for, it's like you cannot, you have to go there before you're already there. So what that means is like if you want to manifest money, and if you're constantly in the energy of I'm broke, I'm poor, I'm struggling, you're going to keep getting more of that. Right? So if you live from a place of I'm abundant, the universe is abundance, you're going to receive more of that. Now there is a time lag because that's just, how the 3D works. Right? And you can live in that space, you will definitely see more of that coming. If you live in the space of, I'm so fat, I'm so unhealthy, I have no energy, right? You're going to live in that space. But if you live in a space of I'm healthy, right? The choices that you make reflect that, which then change your body to become healthy. Right? So you have to, and this is the hard part, is that you have to think greater than you're feeling. And choose to feel and think a certain way, like of who you want to be before you're actually in that space.
Okay, so I'm gonna I'd love to get your thoughts on this question because it's been posed to me before in a conversation similar to this, where somebody was specifically looking to find their partner, and I would say she was probably somebody in her mid or late 20s and understands the concept of feel, the thought process of feel the love before you have the love. But her question was, I've never been in love. I don't know how to feel that. And so she couldn't seem to put herself, like she kept having this roadblock of how am I supposed to feel something I don't know how to feel? I know what I told her, but I'm curious what would be your answer to that.
Yeah. I would want to do some work with her because I had a client, I feel like maybe I talked about her on the last session or last call, that was in a place of complete anger towards somebody. And it was like, I'm never going to be able to experience love again. And she was in this complete space of like, it's just not going to happen. It will never happen, which is a similar, like, it's similar, different. But as we uncovered, stuff, it got to a point where like our resolution was that she wanted to be in a space of like, I'm going to believe love is possible for me. By the end, she was just like, it doesn't, like, yeah, whatever. If it happens, it happens. But I am love. Like, I have that love inside of me. Right. And so it doesn't matter what else is going on outside of me. And so I would say with her, I would want to probe and dig a little bit deeper and see like what's, blocking. Because when we say like, I've never experienced that love, and she may have never received it from her mom, from her dad, from
Right.
her family system. Right. Then I would want to work on her heart wall. Right. I would want to release a heart wall. I would want to like go and help clear out any kind of contracts that she's had, as far as like with holding herself back from receiving love, from feeling love from herself, and get her connected to herself. Because once we're connected to ourselves, the other stuff can come in, and it may or may not, but you don't care at that point.
Yeah, totally. Right? Yeah, no,
there's deep work to be done.
Yeah. Oh, certainly. There's always more. What was interesting with that particular person was she was just very hung up on never having felt it from an outside source, a man, versus she did have loving family relationships. Like after even just a few questions, like she knew how to experience parental love. She knew how to experience her sisters like her best friend. They have the closest relationship. Like she understood this concept of total unconditional love from a sibling. She had pets, like all of these things where I was like, well, you do know this feeling. You're just thinking there's something beyond that you're going to get from some man on the outside, know? And sometimes I think that kind of touches back on how often we've talked about the I'll be happy when mindset.
Right.
Because it's thinking that that's the piece of the puzzle that's suddenly going to complete you, where I think there's some downfall.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I think when you can connect back to what is that that feeling, because unconditional love, it doesn't matter like where it's coming from. Like it's it's no different than
ultimately our peace comes from finding that within ourselves, regardless. Exactly what you just said. It's all doing all of those things with looking at all of the history of your entire spiritual existence and figuring out where you forgot that you are that source.
Right. Yeah. And oftentimes, I know for me, I remember like when I was starting this journey, I couldn't, like, people would be like, just remember a time you were happy. And I was like, I got nothing. Like, I got nothing. And I couldn't connect back. And then a lot of the plant medicine work that I'd done, a lot of the energy clearing helped to remove those blocks, because I literally had so much stuff layered and suppressing it down. And I can think of so many times and even times that were there, like they weren't created since the time I've released them, right? They were there before. I just didn't have the capacity to see them. And so some of it is what we think about vibration. Like I want to jump into this because I think this is such a key part for so many people to understand, is understanding that like our emotions are energy in motion. Right? And so when we are living in an energy, right, it's just an energy, like it's just an energy. Right. And I want to make this distinction between feeling and emotion as well, because these get interchanged a lot. But I think this is a huge distinction, is that when we feel something, like you stub your toe, right? That's a feeling. Like you automatically are like, ow, that hurts, right? The emotion is the story that you make about the feeling. Like, I'm so stupid. I shouldn't have been so dumb to stub my toe. Right? Or, you get your heart broken, and which is a natural feeling, right? But then you're like, I'm so dumb. I'm so stupid. I shouldn't have fallen for that person. I shouldn't have guard down, right? So we have our primary feeling, the thing that happens, right, that creates feeling. And if we just left it there, it's like, oh, I'm feeling pain. I'm feeling heartache. I'm feeling physical pain. I'm feeling sadness. And we just said, if we just literally had the ability to just feel it and be like, okay, I'm feeling it. and it's just energy moving through me, we would be so much better off. But we are meaning making machines who then like, oh, I'm feeling heartbreak, and like I feel shame for feeling that. Right?
Right.
And shame is such a low density energy that pushes on the feeling and doesn't allow you to fully feel it. And so now we
Right.
get stuck in the feeling. So we have a primary feeling, then the secondary, which is the story that we tell about it. And it's the secondary story, their emotion, feeling, whatever you want to call it, that gets us in trouble all the time. All the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so the emotional guidance scale is my favorite things. I want to share a screen because I think this is so helpful. And if you've never
Mm-hmm.
heard this, then like definitely tune
And if
in
you're
if you
just
have.
listening and not watching, well, we usually have the videos on Spotify now too, but you can just Google this. It's available out there.
Yes. Yeah. So the emotional guidance scale. And so what you'll see is there's two sides, right? And it's just like a spiral. And on the right side is the downward spiral. And at the bottom, there's basically 22 levels that they have listed. And the bottom is fear, grief, depression, powerlessness, and victim. Then you go to the upward, and the highest is joy, knowledge, empowerment, freedom, love, and appreciation. Now, of course, all of us would love to be in that highest one all of the time. Right?
Right.
And it's just not, I mean, think about the movie The Truman Show. Like everything's great all the time. Like it's kind of boring. We really don't want to be in that. Right?
Right.
What we really want is alignment and the ability to feel everything without feeling distress about it.
Right.
And so when we're in this space, right, of the like say we're in a what we'd call a lower density energy of like say like insecurity and guilt and unworthiness, right? What you can do is one, just identify where you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just then acknowledge and forgive yourself. Like, hey, I acknowledge that I'm feeling a lot of guilt right now, or I'm feeling a lot of unworthiness right now. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then three is then you just ask, like, you want to move up the scale, but you don't want to go all the way from three all the way from like that the worthiness to one. Right? You kind of have to go up the scale. And so you can look at the next level. I'm just looking, so like jealousy. It's like, okay, like in what way could I feel jealous? And that may seem silly. You're like, why would I want to just jump into like, why would I want to feel jealous? It's like you're looking at it as a step, right? Then you go up the scale. Like I'm worthy because I think that this other person deserves more than, or that they deserve more than me. So I'm jealous, that they have more than me.
Yeah.
Right? That's a higher emotion than just feeling unworthy. And then hatred and rage. Well, that's a good one, right? That one is such a hard feeling for so many people to feel.
Right.
So many, right? And so um, just okay, like just express your hatred towards them. Just let it be there. Okay?
Yeah.
Then you can literally just keep moving up and up and up. And then you can get to the point where you're in that place of love, and it is so much easier than trying to go from all the way down here to all the way up here.
Yeah. And you said a few things I think are really, really good is giving yourself permission and forgiveness and compassion. I say this so much in my yoga classes.
Mm-hmm.
Is and we'll touch on some of the other how-tos, I think, because yoga and sound, these are two things that I'm very passionate about. I think those help move the energy exponentially. But giving yourself permission to feel and giving the emotion permission to go, because we get so stuck. And like I love this idea of moving up, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what I think is so hard is people just, it's almost impossible to leap to that top level. Like if you picture it like you're jumping from below sea level to the top of the mountain, yeah, of course that's very difficult, but could you just get a little closer? And maybe studying that to some level, like that, it would seem like rage, really, but it's better than shame.
Yes. Yes, because you're literally when you have rage, like you move energy, you're punching, you're screaming, you're hitting, like you are moving
Yes.
energy out of your body, and you have to get it out in whatever way, whether it's through like punching, kicking, screaming, crying,
Screaming,
dancing.
vocalizing is a good one. Chanting, moving it a lot of us, I see it often. You'd probably agree. And again, I think we both work with a higher percentage of women anyway, but especially I see it with women, blocked throat chakras, and this applies to all human beings. We don't communicate or listen as well as maybe we would have been, would like to. And stuff gets very stuck right there. So, like the Om that we chant at the end of yoga, people think it's weird sometimes and whatever, but and you can just sit there and listen, you'll get some benefits. But when you actually like Om, like through your own system, you're just like moving stuff in such a powerful way. Like literally go to a place by yourself and just chant an Om and see if you don't feel better. I mean,
right. When I say purge, but when I release stuff, I realize that, I told you, like, I've been doing this hypnotherapy training to include that in my work. And so we have to receive sessions. And whenever she's like, how do you want to move the body, that energy out of you? I get on all fours and I like typically rock like a child and I burp so much. And it's not, I don't force myself. It's just that these burps just come up and it's funny, right? But I oftentimes have to be like a dry purge. Like I just move the energy out. And I'm like, I don't know why that's my process. That just is. Where some people have to scream and cry. I don't like screaming because it literally hurts my vocal cords.
Yes.
But the like,
well, it's funny because even in sound healings, sometimes people will cough or sneeze and they really try because they're so, often they're concerned. They don't want to disturb the group or whatever. So they try to hold it in, but I'm always like, no, like, yeah, if you have to have a huge coughing attack and get out and walk out of the room, fine. But that's like actually something that's trying to go. Don't try to hold your cough in, It's okay. And yeah, people do in sound healings pass gas one way or the other. I mean, it happens.
It does.
Yeah. It's so interesting. But those are my go-tos, especially when I can't get out of my head in an emotion. A hot yoga class because I will sweat my ass off and I have to move, or sound, including like gongs and drums. Those heavier sounds to me are really, really powerful in moving energy. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have access to a drum, a gong, or something like that, you can literally just like pound on the table, or like you can do things yourself. Tapping is a good one, I think, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Breath work is for those of us, me, who get in our heads a lot.
Yeah.
Breath work is amazing. Something's going on with the screen here. Oh, look at that. Closer. I don't know which better, but breath work is absolutely amazing because you're literally like your breath, is the spirit of life, right? And so when you can breathe and shift your breathing pattern, it helps to neutralize yourself and to move that energy out.
And to get into the body. So that, the embodying the feelings versus emotions, there's so much in that I just think our society in general tends to live in our thought mind and think that action is the only way to achieve anything. And that, practicing getting into your body and feeling and allowing and moving, releasing energy, that's a practice. It's called a practice for a reason.
Right. And here's the thing. I'm going to drop this link. Maybe see if I can for this. Othership, and it is a breathwork app. I'm in love with this thing. I do it every day. Literally just a little bit ago, I was like in a space where I wasn't in a great space, and I was like, okay, I have a little bit of time before my next call. Like, I need to shift my energy. Right? So I just did that. But action, when action is coming from a place of density, right, of scarcity, of frustration, like those lower energies, that action is ultimately a waste of time, right? Because it's not aligned with who you want to be at all. Mm-hmm. Okay? So you have to shift that energy, and you have to make a decision of, okay, what is it that I want to feel? And what are the things that I can think, right? And then do to get there.
Yes. And keeping them small. That's one thing I think when you're feeling really challenged, it's tempting to think all or nothing, like if I can't get there, I may as well just give up. Or people that have the mentality of, well, I already blew my diet today, so I may as well just eat all the shit. Like it's looking for the small ways so that you can eventually start to build on those. But what's one tiny little thing? And a breath practice, it doesn't have to be an hour-long sit, like 5 minutes.
Right.
5 minutes can shift something. You can find 5 minutes. You really can.
Yeah. I mean, I typically do them before I go to bed at night. On an
Yes.
average day, I do them before I go to bed at night. I fall asleep to them, and I'm fine with falling asleep to them. I don't make myself bad or wrong, for doing that. Some people are like, you
Mhm.
have to sit up and do it. I'm like, no, I am literally like calming my, nervous system down before I go to bed so that I can be in a good state so that when I wake up, I'm in a great place. Right.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, the things to like shift your energy and your frequency is, as we said, like just using the emotional guidance scale, right? And just looking at it first, acknowledging where you are, letting yourself be there, not making it bad or wrong. Don't put any emotion on top of it. Don't put any meaning on top of it, right? Because that'll keep you stuck in there and just be like, okay, I'm feeling this. And that's part of being human, is feeling all the feelings. Right?
Mhm.
Energy clearing, heart wall clearings. If you want to be able to get into that higher state easier, getting a heart wall clearing is huge. Doesn't mean that you're going to stay in this high vibe state all the time. It means that you're able to go, your resiliency in getting back to it is so much
Mhm.
quicker, okay?
Mhm.
Because you don't have a wall between your heart, which is like your highest, like most amazing, like portal to you and your feelings. Okay?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and we talk about this so much, but high levels of nourishment, that definitely shifts your energy, right? If you are, I was just saying, like, you're eating a lot of food that is dead or dense, like, and you fall off the wagon, so to speak, be like, okay, you know what? My dinner is going to be a protein and a veggie. Going to make it easy. Not a bag of Doritos. Because all the food has energy too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, this next thing of like how to live in a state where your vibration and frequency is at a high level, it is this one is I'm learning this one so much, but allow yourself to do things that bring you pleasure. Most of us, I have a client who is like 7-figure earner, and she's like, I have this beautiful home and beautiful pool. She's like, I haven't even been in the pool. She's like, I have it there, but I haven't been it because I feel like I got to keep working to, like, get to 8 figures and it's like,
Mhm.
whew, that's heavy, right? We
That is
feel like,
heavy.
hmm we have
Yeah.
to allow ourselves to be in pleasure. When we're allowing ourselves to be in pleasure, more comes in. It just does. Like, it is
Yeah.
just the way that it works. Let
Yeah.
yourself, so one thing that brings you pleasure, and a little thing that you can incorporate into your life today. Just one thing.
Yes. And that's such an interesting topic to me. I feel like we could do a whole episode
Oh, yeah,
on that because
for sure.
many thoughts coming up. We'll table that.
Yeah. Yeah. So the other thing you could do is to, to release, to release, or to get to shift your energy so that you can be in a space where you're aligned with what you desire, right? Is, what we already mentioned, meditate and breath work. It doesn't have to be super long time. Right? And the other thing, like, this kind of goes along with like allowing yourself to experience pleasure, is releasing the things that feel dense, that feel heavy, that feel stifling. Like, and this is a hard thing for most of us because we want this new thing, but we don't want to let go of this old thing.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. I definitely. When I was changing my diet, I was like, I want to be healthy, but I am never giving up dairy. And even though dairy caused me such digestive issues, and it took a long time to get to that point, and I realized I wasn't giving up dairy. I was giving up diarrhea. I was giving up gas, all those
That's,
other things, right?
I mean, that's a real that I feel like is a really good way to put it.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And so I know we got to wrap up, but I want you to talk about the whole high vibes thing, because this is a big thing for people when we think
Yes.
about being in a state of energetic vibration.
Yes. Yes. Because I have a real issue with, I understand when people are like, good vibes only. Yes, and it's gaslighting yourself for the most part. As we look at that emotional guidance scale, if you think you're just going to hang out there at the top of that scale 24/7, you're bullshitting yourself.
Right.
It's not possible. And if you're going to live in this, like, you get out of here with your bad vibes state, you're actually perpetuating bad vibes. But like this, I don't know. I hate that narrative so much. And I think it has good intentions, but I think we have to be careful with it. And then it takes people who are struggling. Like if you are down in those low vibes right now, you might even think we're pieces of poo for making it sound so simple, right? Like it's okay to be down there. It's okay. We're all going to experience the whole spectrum again and again and again and again and again. It's always going to be temporary. Even when you're up here, it's temporary. You will have an experience that brings you down here.
Right.
So that it's like, just give yourself permission to feel it. Just good vibes only. Like seriously, I want to smash every mug I see that says that. Like it's not a healthy narrative. It's
No.
not.
No, it is not at all. It is not at all. You lose someone you love, like it to be like, oh, good vibes only. I mean, this is why cultures, have, hey, you wear a black band around your arm to let people know that you're in mourning, and you have a long process. They give you years to say, hey, you're mourning this, because that's natural to do. Like,
well, and not allowing yourself to feel it, just to bring us full circle, you're gonna stay stuck with it.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's always, I say this all the time, but it's like you have a gas bubble, and if you're like, I can't fart,
You're gonna be like that girl in Willy Wonka.
Yeah. Yeah. You just, and it so really comes down to, you are going to attract whatever you're feeling. Right. So yes, you are responsible for the energy that you're feeling. And I was saying to somebody yesterday, I was like, I can't make a decision from where I am right now, because where I am has been a result of what I've been feeling. And I don't like this space that I am. So I need to make a choice to do and be something different, to jump into the feelings that I want to feel.
Yeah.
And right, there's such nuance to this whole conversation, right? And if it was, like I said, mourning the loss of somebody I love, then I would just let myself mourn that. But there's a lot of nuance. So you do attract what you're feeling, and allow yourself to experience, like what one of my friends and a coach, like he talks about, like enjoying the process of life. There is a process, like you're going to go in all of that. And if you're cursing the ocean for having waves,
right,
you're the loony one. But
this is all, it's easier said than done. If you need help, that's exactly what we're here to do.
Why we're here. Yes. Yeah. And that's, we have so many people, and like when I take people through stuff, that they, at the beginning, they're in such a stuck emotional state, and by the end they're like, oh my gosh, I feel so free. It can happen for anybody. Yes, we have to do the work to get there, but it is so much better than staying there, long term. But so we'll leave you with this. When you think about something in your life that you desire, whether it's more money, whether it's, a relationship, a job, right? And notice the thoughts that you're thinking about it. Are you thinking that can't happen for me? I'm not worthy. I'm not deserving. It's not safe for me to have that. Like all those things, jot them down just so that you can see them and have them conscious. Okay. And then think about, okay, the person who would have those things, what do they think? What do they do? Right? And start shifting into that. And if you're finding like, I just can't shift into that, reach out to us. We can help you with that. Like that's what we're masters at.
Yeah. And sometimes it is because you've got some experiences that have kind of clouded your perception, and you don't know what that feels like. So we can release the trapped emotions, the heart wall, all of that stuff. And that fog starts to lift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, we will see you guys on the next episode. Have fun. Just noticing your energy and your vibration. It's no bad or wrong. Just do with it what you want to do, and let it be what it is. Have a good one. Bye.